From the stars they came, beings of light. They joined with the daughters of men.
Imagine this. Long before your eyes even adjust to the screen's glow, a question settles into your mind like a whisper from an ancient world. What if the giants never disappeared? What if everything we thought we understood about the ancient cataclysms, the floods, the legends, all of it was only half the truth? Tonight, we're going to unravel a mystery that has been buried for thousands of years. Because hidden within the oldest texts, carved into stone tablets, and hinted at in cultures separated by continents and oceans, there lies a secret or revelation that may change how you see the past, the sky, the earth, and even yourself. Stay with me, because what you're about to discover is knowledge that only a few people ever get close to, and even fewer understand. It begins with the flood, not just the biblical flood, or the Sumerian flood, or the stories from Mesoamerica or Polynesia or ancient China. Almost every civilization left whispers of a great deluge that nearly erased humanity. But the texts never agree on one crucial detail. How did anything survive? Not just humans, but knowledge, bloodlines, and yes, even giants. And if giants truly walked the earth before the waters rose, towering beings of impossible strength and intelligence, then the real question isn't how they vanished, but how they might have returned. Because now, modern researchers are realizing that the disappearance of the giants was never as complete, never as final as we once believed. And this is where the mystery deepens, because the next part will surprise you even more. Long before any written record, ancient people spoke of the Nephilim hybrid beings, half divine, half human, endowed with size, brilliance, and appetites that stretched beyond the limits of ordinary mortals. But the Nephilim weren't the only giants in the ancient world. The Greeks wrote of the Titans, enormous beings older than the gods themselves. The Norse sagas remembered the Jotnar, primordial giants who shaped the world. Across the ocean, Native American tribes described the thunder beings, colossal figures who lived among the mountains before retreating into the clouds. But how could so many cultures share a memory of towering beings unless they had actually encountered something? The question has nagged at archaeologists, mythologists, and researchers for centuries. And what comes next might shift how you understand these myths forever. Because hidden beneath centuries of translation and reinterpretation is a consistent message. The giants were not destroyed. They were scattered. The flood did not erase them. It merely forced them to adapt. In certain accounts, they took to the high places, mountains, isolated plateaus, distant regions untouched by rising waters. Some stories hint at subterranean migration, claiming that the giants retreated underground into vast caverns that predated human civilization. And then there are the texts that suggest something even stranger, that the giants were not purely physical beings to begin with. That part of their essence allowed them to move between realms, slipping through cracks in reality itself. The next revelation uncovers a secret very few people know. Before the flood, the giants were described not just as tall, but as radiant glowing, burning with an inner fire, or with skin like bronze and eyes like lightning. These descriptions appear in cultures with no connection across the ancient world. Why? Some scholars believe that these accounts represent metaphor, but others propose a more radical idea, that the giants possessed a form of knowledge, perhaps even technology, that allowed them to alter their appearance, strengthen their bodies, and interact with forces we still don't understand today. Stay with me, because what comes next may change the way you see the sky forever. As strange as it sounds, some ancient drawings appear to show giants wearing objects that resemble harnesses, bands, or devices. Not jewelry, not armor, something else, something functional. And if these devices existed, they may have played a role in the giants' survival. Because when the waters rose, when the storms unleashed their fury, When the world trembled under the weight of its own destruction, the giants were prepared, not to stop the flood, but to endure it. Certain writings even suggest that a select group of giants encountered something or someone that helped them endure the catastrophe. And here the story takes a turn so mysterious, so unexpected, that many researchers hesitate to even mention it. Some ancient records hint at a pact between the surviving giants and a group described only as the Watchers of the Sky. Were these beings gods? Angels? Extra-dimensional entities? Visitors from somewhere far beyond our world? The texts never clarify, but they do agree on one thing. The Watchers gave the giants something powerful, something that allowed them to vanish from human sight for thousands of years, and yet not disappear. Instead, the giants became hidden guardians, silent wanderers, watchers of their own, waiting for a moment when the world would once again be ready for their return. But the next part will surprise you even more, because if the giants were truly scattered, or hidden, or transformed, then what explains the strange discoveries emerging in the last century? Enormous footprints fossilized in places where no human could have made them. Skeletons always dismissed, always explained away found in remote caves. Gigantic stone beds carved into ancient dwellings. Enormous weapons scaled far beyond human hands. And the legends? Oh, the legends persist. Stories of giants appearing in the mountains of Afghanistan, in the highlands of South America, in the forests of the Pacific Northwest. Always fleeting, always denied, always brushed aside. But what if these sightings are hints? What if they are signs that the giants, after thousands of years in hiding, are slowly emerging once more? The more we dig into this mystery, the stranger it becomes. Because in many traditions, the giants weren't just strong, they were wise. They carried knowledge of astronomy, architecture, agriculture. They knew how to read the stars, how to track the movements of the earth itself, how to build structures that still baffle us today. Some researchers believe that the giants may have played a role in the construction of the earliest megastructures monoliths, stone circles, temples aligned perfectly with constellations. If true, then the reappearance of giants might not be random. It might be a sign connected to the sky, the stars, and a cycle far older than any civilization. And the next revelation dives even deeper. As we explore this idea, we begin to see an incredible possibility, that the giants' return is tied to a celestial rhythm, a pattern known only to those who once walked between the heavens and the earth. Certain ancient calendars describe cycles measured not in years, but in millennia ages, when the veil between worlds grows thin. During these ages, the Watchers return, the earth shifts, and old beings emerge once more. If the giants survived the flood, this may be the time they choose to step back into our world. And if that's true, then we may be living in an age of rediscovery, an age when truths begin to seep back into the collective consciousness. It wasn't just physical survival. Some stories claim that the giants developed or were taught a method of encoding their knowledge into symbols, resonances, and energetic signatures hidden within stone, sound, and geometry, meaning that the secret of their survival, their disappearance, and their return has been hiding in plain sight, embedded within the architecture of ancient civilizations. Temples that hum at specific frequencies, megaliths that align with solstices and equinoxes, pyramids designed not just as tombs, but as markers, anchors, places where the boundary between realms could be accessed by those who possessed the right knowledge. And if giants truly held that knowledge, then their reappearance may not be a physical event at all, but a gradual awakening. Perhaps they have never fully left. Perhaps they have been here, influencing human history from the shadows, watching the world change, waiting for us to understand the signs they left behind. Some ancient languages describe beings who stood taller than humans, but whose true size depended on perception, beings who could appear enormous or human-sized, depending on the observer. as spiritual or mental state. If true, this may explain why giants seem to appear and vanish, why some see them and others never do, why stories persist even when evidence seems to slip through our fingers. Maybe the giants learned to exist between layers of reality, stepping in and out as easily as we step through a doorway. What if the flood didn't destroy the giants, but transformed them? What if we are only now beginning to sense their presence again? What if their return has already begun? And with that question, we pull back yet another layer, because the next part of this story, the part we're about to step into, may just redefine everything we thought we knew about ancient history, hidden civilizations, and the beings who shaped the world long before we arrived. And now, as we come to this moment, take a breath, because everything we've uncovered in this journey, from the ancient whispers of the giants, to the mysteries buried beneath the flood, to the hidden knowledge carried through ages, has been guiding us toward one truth, that throughout history, God has always preserved a remnant, a message, a sign, and a reminder that nothing He creates is ever forgotten. We traced the legends, the symbols, the scattered clues left across civilizations, and each one pointed to a single, undeniable theme. God's plan has always been larger, deeper, and more intricate than the human mind can fully comprehend. When the world was shaken, He preserved life. When the flood swept across the earth, He preserved purpose. And through every age, through every mystery, through every whisper of giants or guardians or watchers, one thing has always stood firm: God's sovereignty over every moment of history. And now, here you are. You didn't find this message by accident. You didn't click this video just to pass time. Something inside you, something quiet but persistent, brought you here. Because somewhere in your heart, there is a piece of the story that belongs to you. Maybe it's a question. Maybe it's a wound. Maybe it's a longing. Maybe it's a testimony waiting to be shared. So right now, I want to speak directly to your spirit. If something in this video stirred you, if something awakened a memory, or a conviction, or a curiosity, if something inside you whispered, "Pay attention, this is for you," then I want to invite you into a moment of truth. In the comments, I want you to write your confession, your testimony, or your prayer openly, boldly, honestly. It can be one sentence or a whole paragraph. It can be simple. It can be raw. It can be a cry from your heart or a quiet whisper. But write it. Declare it. Speak it out. Because when you put your faith into words, something shifts in the spiritual realm. Walls fall, chains break. Healing begins. And your story, yes, yours can become the spark that ignites someone else's breakthrough. And if God has done something in your life, anything, deliverance, healing, restoration, protection, provision, salvation, testify. Tell the world what He has done. Your testimony carries power you cannot even imagine. Someone scrolling through the comments might read your words and find the courage they've been begging God for. And here's what I'm asking of you with urgency, with passion, and with a sense of holy responsibility. Share this video with at least 10 people. Send it to your family. Send it to your friends. Send it to someone who might be searching, someone who might be hurting, someone who might be standing on the edge of giving up. You're not just sharing a video, you're carrying a message. You're spreading God's word. You're planting seeds in places you may never physically touch. You're extending a blessing to lives you may never meet on this side of eternity. Because when this message reaches more souls, it is not just content multiplying, it is God's teaching being carried forward, voice by voice, share by share, heart by heart. Every person who watches becomes another life open to truth, to reflection, to awakening, and maybe, just maybe, to transformation. So before you leave, write your confession, your prayer, or your testimony below. Then send this to 10 people or more. Let's spread the message far beyond this screen. Let's flood the world not with fear, but with faith. Not with silence, but with truth. Not with darkness, but with God's light. Because this right here, right now may be the moment someone receives the hope they've been waiting for. And the story